Mr. Mumtazuddin from Director General, Food Planning and Monitoring Unit, Ministry of Food, Government of Bangladesh. And last but not the least, we also have Nabil Siddiqui, Supply Chain Lead for Nutrition, Unilever Consumer Care Limited, Bangladesh. Please welcome our illustrious panelists to this panel session. The way we have organized this session is we'll go through a couple of questions focused on the issue of sustainability and food loss and waste prevention. And we will hear from our illustrious panelists the challenges and particularly the opportunities they see for working together in mitigating and minimizing and preventing food waste and food loss in Bangladesh. We don't have any presentations. It will be a set of questions. And we owe it to ourselves, the panelists, and to the audience that we will stick to time. So we have about 55 minutes for this panel session, and I hope it will be a very interesting and informative discussion. Before I go on to the questions, I just wanted to introduce the subject to all of you. It is estimated that 1/3 of food that is produced in the world goes waste. And this waste starts right at the farm level, post harvest, because of improper handling, improper storage, lack of capacity. And then all through the supply chain, there are food loss and waste, across at every stage in logistics, at retail, and even post retail at the level of consumers, there is food loss and waste. And this loss of food that is there in our developing countries, including the developed world, there is food waste even in the developed world as well. This is a major contributor to climate change. So all the resources that are spent growing that food actually goes waste. And the food that rots in landfills, in our dump yards, also emits climate gases. So food loss is definitely an issue from a climate standpoint. Also, it's an issue from a standpoint of food security. There are millions of people on this planet who are suffering from hunger. And the food that is grown and its loss and waste is a colossal, I would say, a blunder when we have so much malnutrition, when we have so much hunger on this planet. So in this panel, what we are going to discuss is what can we do together as private sector, as the government, as the multilateral organizations, can we work together to find solutions to addressing this burning issue of food loss and waste prevention. So with that, we will kick off the panel. Thank you. My first question is to Yuri, and Yuri, welcome to the panel. You are on this panel because you are working on an IFC project on food loss and waste. So could you tell us, where do you see IFC playing a role in promoting food loss and waste prevention, especially with our private sector clients? And then we use food loss and waste sometimes as interchangeable terms, but just walk us through, are they the same, or do they have different implications? So Yuri, over to you.
Thank you very much, Harsh. Let me start from definitions. So, according to the FAO definition, food loss and waste is decrease in quantity and quality of food along food supply chain. And it includes both parts, food loss and food waste, and there is some difference. When we talk about food loss, that's decrease in quantity and quality of food in food supply chain due to decisions or actions by food producers, starting from primary production up to, but excluding retailers, food service providers, and consumers. And when we talk about food waste, that's decreasing in food quantity or quality due to decisions or actions by food retailers, food service providers, and food customers. That's the difference between food loss and food waste. How is important food lost and waste, and what is the role of IFC? From my point of view, it's difficult to overestimate of importance of food lost and waste, especially in the current moment. Today, it has already been mentioned what currently we have 8 billion people on the planet. And according to the forecast, in 2050, it is expected to have 10 billions, 10 billion, so 2 billion more. And projected demand or expected demand of food is going to be increased by more than 30%. So that's huge challenges. And from this point of view, reduction of food lost and waste could help us to address these issues. Currently, we produce, in the world, we produce 4 billion ton of food. And annually, every year, 1.3 billion of this amount are lost or wasted. And that, according to estimations, that amount of food is sufficient to feed 2 billion people. So that's impressive numbers, and that's something we always need to keep in mind when we talk about the importance of food lost and waste. So, food lost and waste, it's first of all food security issue, but not only. Historically, IFC provided food safety advisory. I am food safety specialist. And we work with our clients in different sectors, in different industries, in different parts of food supply chain, to help them to improve their food safety practices, food safety standards. And we always observed clear and very close connection between food safety and food lost and waste. Some issues with food safety, they influence food loss and waste and then increase food losses and waste. For example, improper storage, fluctuations in the temperature, unsanitary conditions of storage, pest infestation, some other issues. Also, such food safety issue as a wrong labeling, incorrect labeling, that's also directly address food loss and waste or affect food loss and waste. And opposite, increased volume of food waste affects food safety. That could be due contamination or cross-contamination between food products and food waste. That could be microbiological issue, that could be chemical issue, including allergens, that could be physical issues, physical hazards. So that clearly shows us what food safety and food lost and waste are connected, and we need to address both issues. And that's why IFC included food lost and waste reduction advisory also in our package, which we propose to our clients. Besides food security and food safety, food loss and waste is also a sustainability issue. And there are many different aspects how food loss and waste affects sustainability. But the main one probably is the greenhouse gas emission. According to research, food loss and waste is in charge of from 8 to 10% of greenhouse emissions in the world. That's a huge amount, which we also can eliminate if we address this issue, if we find way to reduce food lost and waste in food supply chain. Thank you.
Thank you, Yuri. My next question just is building on what Yuri mentioned, and this question is to Amadou from the World Bank. So Amadou, the World Bank in Bangladesh is conducting a country food loss and waste diagnostic. Could you just walk us through more about that initiative, please?
Yeah, thank you, Harsh. Let me talk about this food loss and waste analysis that we are conducting here in Bangladesh. This study, it is done It is prepared in line with the recently global framework on food loss and waste. So it is a deep dive on some commodities here in the country to identify what is a hotspot for food loss and waste, and also what is the magnitude of those loss, and also identify, let's say, policy and investment option to address food loss and waste. So in Bangladesh, we have identified four commodities that will be covered by this study. The first one, it is rice. You know, rice is very important here in Bangladesh. We have also a lot of loss along the chain, especially on the production and also on the storage segment. Second commodity to be covered to represent fruit and vegetable, it is mango. For mango also, it will be food loss, and in the mango value chain will be also assessed. And third one, it is lentil, which is a pulse that is very present in Bangladeshi jets. And the third one, it is fish, which is a very important source of protein here in Bangladesh. So this study has already started. We already had some consultation with stakeholders, so we will be pursuing it. Right now, we have the, let's say, first findings are coming, and one of them is that for food loss and waste, it will be really good to address it at commodity level, but also at to take into our account geographic level. It's one key takeaway that is coming. Second takeaway that is coming from this study is that if you want to improve the productivity of the food system, we have really to reduce the food waste and loss. As my colleague was saying, if we reduce the food loss and waste, we will be also having some benefit in terms of greenhouse gas emission. And all of this, it is really at a reasonable cost. So we are continuing this food loss and waste diagnostic for Bangladesh. As our all World Bank analytical work, once completed, it will be disclosed in country. And really, we welcome also any suggestion from all the stakeholders in order for us to advance in this flagship report. Thank you.
Thank you, Amadou. Before I move on in the panel, I just would like to go back to Yuri. So, Yuri, we also have in the IFC a food loss and waste calculator, which does some of this food loss and waste assessment. How does that complement the diagnostic that the World Bank is doing at the country level?
As you know, IFC is not just financial institutions which provides finance resources to clients, but also international development organization, and we also do advisory to our clients to help them to improve different aspects of their businesses. And one of them, it's as I mentioned before, food loss and waste reduction. And also, it's very important to us not only to implement certain project, but also to estimate and calculate and quantify with results which we probably could receive in the result of this project. So for this reason, IFC has developed tool which we called IFC Food Loss and Waste Calculator, which enable users to quantify food lost and waste reduced in result of the products, but also to quantify amount of greenhouse gases, and particularly CO2, which has been reduced in the result of this project. So that's pretty much friendly, user-friendly tool developed in way to make it possible to use by everybody. And even in case if user cannot provide certain specific site information required for calculator regarding the project, this calculator has a database on the greenhouse gas emissions and food loss and waste coefficient, and use this database. This calculator could help user to quantify all these indicators. And also that's has pretty much wide scope. It includes 50 countries and 117 products, including different fruits and vegetables, also different types of meat, milk, and eggs. So using this tool, our clients, with our support or without our support, could quantify and assess effectiveness of food loss and waste reduction projects.
Thank you. Moving on, so I started by saying that food loss happens right at the farm level, starting from post-harvest. And so Zakir, the question is to you now. We know there is a MasterCard program called Farm Pass, which was piloted, I think, in Kenya, then taken to Tanzania, Uganda, India. And it's kind of a digital agricultural marketplace which allows farmers to connect with markets, with financiers, and technology providers to basically improve farm practices and reduce farm losses. So could you just walk us through this Farm Pass, and how does it help farmers reduce post-harvest losses?
Absolutely, and thank you so much. Before I get into that, I think it's very important to also talk about the fact that even right now, we do have a lot of people who are still food deprived. So this is absolutely the right time to be talking about all this. So going into what the solution that we've actually thought about from MasterCard is that how do we bring about farmers, how do we bring them closer to the buyers? So that's exactly what we brainstormed and we brought in. We brought in a digital platform, which basically, it's a marketplace, which basically brings in the smallholder farmers to the buyers directly. So just to elaborate a little bit more about how this works is that these farmers, most of them are uneducated, or with very little education. So for them to use these smartphones is difficult. So we do have digital agents on board, and these are on-ground hands and feet who are there, who registers these farmers, and they get them registered onto this platform, and the buyers can directly go onto this platform and order their produce. What we've seen is that from a farmer, a produce is probably bought for 6 taka per kg, but when it comes to consumers or the customers, we buy them at 60 taka per kg. So where is this loss happening, this loss of money? This is happening via the middlemen. So that's exactly what we wanted to cut off, and we tried to bring the both of them together. This is a platform where not only do we have the entire history of what the farmers do or what they've sold till now, this also gives them an opportunity to have a financial credit rating. So if they have a credit rating, it's much easier for these farmers to get loans from banks to expand their businesses. We give them free services such as agriculture advisors on what type of crops should they use, what kind of seeds should they use, what type of pesticides would be available to them. So all of that is available on this platform. And the best thing is that, say for example, a farmer is planning something in advance, they can actually write that down on that, they can put it down, input that into the system, and the buyers can actually say that, yes, in the next 5 months, I want this amount of quantity of produce from you. So it's completely digital based, but basically bringing the world much closer, something which would basically give the farmers their right due and hopefully reduce a lot of wastage which happens along the way.
Sure, and maybe as a follow-on question, Zakir, to you, where do you see the opportunity in Bangladesh for piloting Farm Pass, and have there been any discussions to introduce this platform to Bangladesh?
Absolutely, because we've seen that, like you said, we started off in Kenya, in Africa. We saw a huge success of that. We have approximately 3 million farmers who are registered on this platform at this moment. We have over 1 million, which is already registered in India. So we've seen that this works, and Bangladesh is an agriculture-based country. So this would be one of the best countries to actually pilot this at. Um, you know, we've seen that, you know, this entire solution during COVID days, when, you know, everyone was even was scared to meet their own relatives, let alone go to buyers. So this has worked fantastically during the COVID days. Everything was sold digitally. We helped survive these little farmers. So one of the best things that we've tried to do is that we're going to do small pocket pilots here in Bangladesh. We're planning to start off with 5 pockets at this moment. In the deep rural, we're connecting with the banks, which are very prevalent in agent banking, which can help us with these credit ratings, which can help with the subscription and registration of these farmers. And plus, we will have with us larger brands like, of course, Unilever. My colleague from Unilever is here. We will have people from ACI. We'll have people from Meghna and Pran and all of them. So we are planning to start this off, and definitely sooner than later. We plan to start off the first pilot maybe sometime in September this year.
Sure, thank you. Moving down the supply chain, we now come to Nabil, to you. So in your role as the manager for supply chain, especially looking at nutrition for Unilever in Bangladesh, how do you address issues concerning food loss and waste in your supply chain?
Thank you, Harsh. Basically, what happens when we talk about Unilever, the quality is the everything we think and keep in our mind. And we believe food safety is the right to consumer. And we are committed to deliver safe food to the consumer. As a continuation of that, basically, we do not design the setup process to fail. Our world-class R&D, quality and regulatory, together as an integrated team, with the help of local and global regulation, basically we design our product in such a way and the process in such a way so that it doesn't give any unsafe product and consumer is not basically dissatisfied. However, these all are the executional statements. In reality, when similar situations happens that despite taking all the precautions, we are still facing some issues. Basically, our process is robust enough, which is governed by a robust quality management system, which takes care of the entire value chain, starting from farm to fork, or we call it as a grain to glass, where each and every step of the value chain, we take care of the food safety. We rather work on proactive approach rather reactive approach. That's the reason in our value chain, our emphasis is on the upstream of the value chain so that we get the right quality material and we design our process in such a way so that the process itself takes care of the food safety. So right quality material processed in a right setup, taking care of all the food safety precautions. When you talk about food safety precautions, is basically a vast topic to talk, very difficult to cover in few words, but still I would just like to take out few of the topics which you might correlate, like we talk about the GMP, good manufacturing practices, we talk about the GLP, good laboratory practices, we talk about the GWP, good warehouse practices. Other than that, there are some compliance related activities. It's called the calibration, method validation, verification, then integrated pest management, traceability. Other than that, in Unilever, we are also having some of our local programs, which we term as a CRQS, QLI, or GLC, ALC, etc. Entire program, proper execution of the program within the value chain basically helps us to deliver right quality product to the consumer. Here, one thing to mention, when we talk about entire value chain in the food safety, we take care of the people in the front, because whatsoever technology or the method we talk about, until and unless we are having the right and qualified people in the right position, it will not be ensured. So we have a development program for each and every employee in our organization who takes care of the respective roles. We give them the recurring training or the development training so that they can perform better and give the right or best to the process and the product, which is ultimately enjoyed by the consumer. So in total, if I talk about that, it's a commitment from the company or it's a commitment from the organization towards the food safety for the consumer, helps us basically take care of this expectation of the consumer.
Perfect. Thank you. Um, I'll move on now to Mr. Mumtazuddin. So, could you please just walk us through and inform the audience about the role that Food Planning and Monitoring Unit does, and how does it relate to food loss and waste prevention in the agriculture sector in Bangladesh? So, over to you.
Thank you very much. This is a very relevant question, especially for the Ministry of Food, and more related with the Food Planning and Monitoring Unit under the Ministry of Food. So the ministry, the FPMO, that is Food Planning and Monitoring Unit, works in various sectors. Especially, it monitors the food situations of the countries, and it conducts some researches here, and also it coordinates the ministries who works with the food security and food and nutrition security also in the country, who are related with the food and food and nutrition security policy 2020, and also we also monitored the country's investment plan, and you know that we have a country investment plan that is a big document for the country, and also we have a pathway document. We have prepared this pathway document with consultation with the various stakeholders, especially the experts of the countries. So which is a very important document. We can say that it is a unique document for for Bangladesh. If we can implement these pathway documents, then we can achieve a lot of things. And also, that is the monitoring of the pathway documents. It is important work of the Food Planning and Monitoring Unit of this ministry, of the Ministry of Food. Also to monitor review the progress of the implementation of the food policy. That is very important for our country. And also another thing is important is to ensure to monitor the SDG target 12.3, which is most related with the food loss and waste. So these are all the things in brief. I'm telling you the Food Planning and Monitoring Unit. This is a unit under the Ministry of Food. This is like a wing of the Ministry of Food that who works on these issues. Thank you.
Thank you. So there was a mention by Nabil about good management practices, and this goes back to Amadou, to you, that food safety starts at the farm, and sometimes we find that in developing countries, farmers don't have the right knowledge and capacity to implement good agricultural practices. I know the World Bank is supporting a very ambitious program with the government of Bangladesh on promoting good agricultural practices in agricultural sector in Bangladesh, focused on yield improvements, quality, and food safety. Could you just tell us more about that program, the partner program? This is to Amadou. And how does private sector participate, if they can, in that program? Over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. So recently, the World Bank has approved the program on agriculture and rural transformation for nutrition, employment, and resilience. This program is called Partner. It's a flagship operation of 500 million US dollar. The main difference of between partner and our other operation, it is first, this is a performance for result operation. We are not financing standalone activities under partner, but we are the disbursement are made against result. This is very important. Second key feature to note on partner, it is that we are using 100% country system in terms of procurement, environmental and social safeguard. And this project partners is really operationalizing the national agriculture plan. Now, as I have said, partner is focused on results. And it includes 10 disbursement linked indicator, 10 disbursement linked results to simplify it for you. And the first disbursement linked indicator is on food safety. It is on the development, the rollout, and the adoption of good agriculture practices. So specifically, we have a target of 300,000 hectares to be covered by to be covered under lands that are certified, GAP certified, 300,000 hectares. We have also a target of having 15 protocols and standards for GAP to be developed. And also the project include a target of 1 million farmers and staff working on certification to be trained in good agriculture practices. We are really very optimistic that all of this, increasing the land under GAP, increasing the number of protocols, increasing the trainings, all of this shall benefit to the private sector. And the DAE, the Department of Agriculture and Extension at the Ministry of Agriculture, which will be the lead implementing agency, will be closely working with the private sector. And we will be very soon having implementation support mission, the first for the partners. The project has just been approved on April 27 and signed last week. So during our first implementation support mission, we are planning to meet the private sector to really ensure that all which will be done under this transformational project partner will benefit to private sector. And we want to work also very closely with IFC to help the World Bank, since we are in the same group, to mobilize the private sector to be sure that really at the end of the project, when we will be closing the partner, we'll say, okay, partner has been a project that has been transformational for smallholders, but also has been transformational for private sector. Over.
Sure. Thank you, Amadou. Yuri, the question to you now is, it's always looked at as if food loss and waste is a very developing country problem. But there is significant food waste, even in developed world, particularly starting at retail, then even at consumer level. There's a lot of waste that happens even in developed markets. Could you just walk us through in terms of what can be done to mitigate food waste in those kind of sort of setups?
Thank you. Yeah, food loss and waste is issue for any country, yeah, for developing countries, for developed countries. However, there are some differences. And if we look in developing countries, the mainly issue related to the food loss in waste is in that part which is called food loss, yeah, as we discussed in the beginning. So that's a part which is related to losses of food in food supply chain, starting from primary productions up to retailers. Yeah, that's a primary production, that's a food process, and that's a distribution. So basically, that's a main part where we can see issue in developing countries related to the food losses. And in developed countries, situation is opposite, and main concern is about food waste. So that part which is related to food retail and consumers and food service providers. So that's a main difference between developing and developed countries. And due to that, also the actions or activities which need to be done are different in the both cases. Yeah, in case of the developing countries, the main focus in terms of the reduction of food losses is to infrastructure and improvement of post-harvest losses, reducing of post-harvest losses. It's first of all storage facilities. Yeah, it's a cold chain. That's another issues which are related to improvement of storage conditions for food products. Besides that, that's also very important to pay attention to the awareness of this issue, especially for smallholder farmers, yeah, because developing countries, they rely on the smallholder farmers a lot, and that's important to make sure what people know about it, they know what they can do to avoid it or to reduce this risk, and that's could help a lot to improve situation in developing countries. And in developed countries, main activities, main actions which can be done, that's again awareness campaign for target audience. In this case, that's consumers and food retail. Yeah, what they can do to improve situation, and particularly, I think maybe you heard about that now. It's pretty much big campaign about the so-called ugly food in developed countries. So way to explain people what they should not waste some food or don't buy some food only because it looks a bit not so good as they maybe would like. Yeah, so it's still good food and you can still can eat it and you should not waste it. And another aspect which also could be done in developed countries, that's in research and introduction of new solutions of innovations in this area. So this will help us to pilot these solutions to see their effectiveness, and then in the future to roll out it to other countries.
Thank you, Yuri. And you mentioned end consumers. And the thought that comes to my mind is that, packaged food, processed food, especially, at the end consumer level, also creates a lot of waste in terms of plastic packaging, plastic bottles, glass bottles, which also is a big sustainability issue. It's not food waste, but is actually waste related or linked to food. So, Nabil, how is Unilever sort of looking at this issue of waste generated out of all of this packaging, bottles and plastic in Bangladesh? If there's any such initiative looking at collection of that waste, recycling, something like an extended producer responsibility, could you walk us through that, please?
Sure. Thank you, Harsh. See, first of all, as Unilever and like all other people, I believe one thing: plastic is not the hazard. Hazard is uncontrolled and unbound use of the plastic. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, the packaging is required to reach the product to the consumer, and plastic is the easiest means. So that way, it has become a sort of an unavoidable situation for us to move out from the plastic. Like any other responsible organization globally, we have also taken a sustainability agenda with respect to the plastic. It's similar to RRR: reduce, reuse, recycle. But as a Unilever, probably we feel reduce is to use the plastic lesser while we give the product to the consumer. Means, if I give an example that one bottle probably 45 or 80 gram is enough for the product, but for a better shape or better looking, I am giving 100 gram. So 30 gram each bottle, I am basically releasing plastic to the product. So we are doing some R&D or we are doing some packaging related innovation so that with the change of innovative shapes of any container can help us to use lesser plastic. That is one we are doing. Second is about the reuse. Means whatever the plastics or the containers already we are having or we are going to launch in future, those will have to have the feature of reuse so that consumer doesn't throw it as a one-time use. Then comes the question of recycle. Uh, Means that whatever the plastic we are releasing in the environment of the system, how we can do the recycle. Now, with this RRR concept, Unilever is not satisfied because end of the day, we are anyway releasing plastic to the environment. Then, as a responsible organization, we are going one step extra or ahead. What we are going to do, we have taken an amend. The amount of plastic on a year basis we give to the consumer, we collect back more than that from the environment. So that is the agenda we are driving as a part of sustainability agenda. Within Bangladesh already we have launched this program with the help of few NGOs and some voluntary basis organization. We have already started collecting plastics from the environment which is normally not being reused. It is thrown out, and if it is not collected back, it would have gone to drains, rivers or oceans. For your information, last year, that means 2022, we have already collected more than 1,000 ton of the plastics which we have already given to the consumer along with the product. This year also we are going to continue to do so. So this will keep on be an additional activity so that at least whatever we give to the environment, we collect it back. Next question comes at what we are going to do with that. Basically, we are working on a couple of R&D solutions that how we can reuse those plastic, doing the formation change, converting into the preels or probably converting into the PCRs. And we are checking the effectivity of those PCR-based containers in our product, how sustainable it is. If it works well, basically it will help us to further take back plastics from the environment and at least give us a sort of a relief that, okay, we are not giving extra. Whatever we are giving, we are basically collecting at this back. So this will remain a continuous activity for Unilever globally as well as in Bangladesh as a part of the sustainability agenda.
Great, thank you. My next question is to Mr. Mumtazuddin. This is building on what our global director in the morning mentioned about learning from Bangladesh. So the question to you is, what are some 2 or 3 things that other developing countries can learn from Bangladesh's experience in looking at food safety, food loss and waste, and even food security to complete the picture?
Thank you very much once again. Just I am adding one thing. I want to start that the Bangladesh is going to attend the UN Food System Summit stock-taking moment to be held in Rome on 24th to 26th July. That is, and before that stock-taking moment, we have several dialogue we are continuing. And we have shown that the full pathway document is one of the best example for many countries. Those many countries have not yet done these things. And we have also many good practices like our policies is our 8-fiber plan, these are all aligned with the pathway document. And the policy we are not limited with this one. Also, this is also aligned to the action policies aligned to the actions. So we have started actions. We have another best practices that we are following, that we have a dashboard, which is a globally recognized. So this is, we are practicing this dashboard we have. From this dashboard, every citizen can have their desired informations about the food situations of this country, or anything, nutrition situations, or food insecurity situations of the countries, or everything they can get from this one. So dashboard is globally recognized. These are the one of the most remarkable practices this we are doing here. Also, just I want to add another things. The food loss and waste, it is it impacts the sustainability highly. So we are trying to reduce the food loss and waste. You know that there is a national level committee of the food monitoring and food planning and monitoring committee, headed by the Honorable Food Minister in Bangladesh, Minister and the we have 8 cabinet ministers and 8 secretaries, those who are the members of this committee. So also, one thing, we fix price of the locally produced rice. And one thing I want to say, that the food ministry, especially, actually when we listen the word the Ministry of Food, we normally think that the food ministry deals with the all food items. Actually, it is not so. The food ministry is deals with the mainly rice, wheat or flour, and maize in some cases, but we have not yet started to collect the maize, especially paddy, rice, and wheat or flour. So you know that is a very, I think it is one of the unique program in Bangladesh, that is OMS, Open Market Sale. It is a it is now, we have made it now the countrywide program. And we have another very important program with subsidized price, that is very remarkable good practices, we can say. That is the under the food friendly program in Bangladesh. And under this project, we have 50,10,509 beneficiaries across the country. In the rural level, our OMS program is conducted. Normally, before this time was conducted in the urban. Now from July, it will be extended up to the rural level. So the food friendly program will also continue. Food friendly program, as it is, price is per kg 15 taka. This is a very big subsidized program in Bangladesh. And the OMS program rice price is per kg 30 taka. This is highly quality rice. These are all the, I think, very important. Thank you.
I have one more question, but I'll hold on and I'll open the panel to the audience. If you have any questions, please raise your hands and let us know to which panelist is that question addressed. So the guys, floor is open. Let us know if you have any questions. And do we have a mic there?
Yeah, thank you very much. This is Dr. Srikant Shil. I'm working as valuation expert in the FAO Bangladesh. Actually, I am talking about one important point regarding Mr. Yuri, what he was talking about, the cold chain management for reducing post-harvest loss in this relation, I have some study in Bangladesh. Uh, Other than this, there are so many studies already have been happened in this country for cold chain management issue. Problem is that cold chain management is, very costly in the context of Bangladesh because, the electricity is a big issue. Another point is that our summer fruits, vegetables, particularly for, it is very highly perishable and its natural shelf life is up to 15 days. And this is the major thing, how cold chain management for this naturally shelf-stable product for 15 days, it is not feasible or sustainable. And in this point of view, maybe for fishery and livestock sector, meat, fish, milk, okay, no problem. But the major case is for fruits and vegetables. In that case, for reducing post-harvest loss is a crucial activity for our country. And in this issue, we have to think about how to reduce post-harvest loss, particularly for fruits and vegetables. We want some strategic issues from this conference that we are expected. So thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you all.
So Yuri, by the time you collect your thoughts for this question, any other question from the panel, from the audience? Yes. Do we have a mic?
Thank you.
Very briefly, please introduce yourself and to
Me,
which
Mohammad
panelist
Abul
is the
Kalam
question.
Azad, servicing in LDDB project. I'm a national agribusiness expert, dairy. My question belongs to Mr. Yuri
Yuri,
Zavesenko.
okay. Sure.
Me, a dairyman, dairy people, in Bangladesh context, about 80% milk are using through sweet meat processing activities. We know in milk, 87% water and 13% total solids. While making sweets, 87% water, just like as hay water is draining, and it is lost, it is simply losing. How the private entrepreneur, I mean, a lot of sweet meat producers are enriching their business, especially I may say premium sweets. It is a giant in Bangladesh. How they can use the said drained way water in commercial point of view and how IFC can help them. Thank you.
Okay. There was a hand at the back as well. Yeah. And then we'll let the panel respond.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Harsh. I am Professor Dr. Jahidul Hassan, Department of Horticulture, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Agriculture University. I would like to thank all the plenary specialists for your nice conversation. So I just want to know from Yuri, then another one is Nabil Imran Siddiq. So first of all, I'm going to Mr. Yuri. You are expert on food and waste management practices. So in my understanding, like in our country aspect, all of you are talking about how to minimize the post-harvest losses and how to recycle and reuses as well. So if I'm talking about the horticultural crops, then definitely we can see that it is huge losses each and every day, and each and every bite we are eating, we are losing all of these things. But my observation is that, could you please take some initiatives so that we can recycle the waste product? Suppose nowadays, now we are passing the big season of mango. We have huge mango. If you can look at the near our, besides our this hotel, then you can find Kauran Bazar. Here you can find huge amounts of mangoes and lots of vegetables are marketing here. But all these are doing in open field conditions. So this is also part of these losses. But each and everywhere, like from grower to our stable, each and every time we are wasting this type of huge materials. In this case, we are losing from our food quantity basis as well as quality basis as well. So I just want to know that in future, do you have any plan and you have suggestions for our country aspects so that we can develop in this sector? And my next question, not actually questions, I just want to know from Nabil Imran Siddiq sir, you have well explained how you can manage and recycle your packaging products, but I also want to know that, like at the same way, suppose we are preparing the mango juice from mango pulp, but we are losing or we are wasting the mango like skin. So in this case, sometimes we know that it has some pectin substances or other secondary metabolites. Those we can use by recycling aspect and we can manufacture these things. So in your case, do you have any plan or you have such type of opportunity so that we can go for this type of techniques in future? Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you. And maybe I'll add one question. This is for you, Zakia. If you were to have one or two ask from either the government or the private sector in Bangladesh to deepen financial inclusion in the agricultural sector, what would that be? So Yuri, over to you. We'll start with you, then to Nabil, and finally to Zakia.
Thank you very much, everybody, for very good questions. Regarding the first question, as I understand, it was about the improvement of the cold chain and storage facilities, yeah, for food products, and that's definitely very important and very difficult issue everywhere, yeah, and that's pretty much expensive to construct the modern food storage, cooling of frozen facilities. And I see, from my point of view, the main role here should play private sector. And IFC here to help with it. So we do a lot of projects about the improvement of cold chain in different countries. And we would be happy to support such initiatives in Bangladesh as well. In terms of another our initiatives regarding the recycling or recovery of food waste, particularly food waste in the horticulture sector, yeah. There are different approaches which could be implemented for this purpose, for this task. There is a hierarchy of food waste recovery. First of all, we need to try to do our best to prevent food wasting, yeah, food losses. If not possible, then we need to try to minimize. If that's not possible, we need to we probably could find a way how to use wet food products to still for people, yeah, still feed people. For example, this initiative about the ugly food, which I mentioned before. If that's not possible, then we probably can use it as a feed for animals. If that's not possible, then we can use it as a source of energy, yeah. And I think biogas is like a main or key approach which could be implemented here. And IFC also does a lot of projects in this area. And if that's not possible, we can use food waste for composting and use it as a fertilizer. And only if anything is not possible here, when we probably can use it, can consider it as a real food waste. So following this approach, that could help us to really minimize volume of food losses and food waste. And what?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. With a lighter note, am I audible? With a lighter note, basically when I talk to my team members, since we make food, I tell my team members, wasting food is a crime. If in a subconscious or a conscious mind, you are contributing food waste, basically you are doing a crime. Okay, coming back to your question. Like plastic waste, we are also working on the material waste. There are two parts of the waste. One is controllable, another is uncontrollable. While we do the manufacturing and the processing, there are always some options, tools, or the programs like TPM, lean supply chain, lean manufacturing, etc., to minimize the waste at the factory level or in the manufacturing level. or in the distribution level. However, still there will be a part of waste which is unavoidable and you will generate or industry will generate. Now there is always a way to reuse that material. In Unilever term, we call it is a material upcycling. With my experience in the food industry for last 20 years, I believe any food material or food waste, you can do upcycling. In Unilever, what we do, the unavoidable wastes which I just mentioned, there are simpler way. You collect it, either you dump it in a proper manner or you incinerate it so that you get rid of the waste. But that comes with a cost and that also releases carbon in the environment. So that is not an environment friendly solution. What Unilever do differently? Unilever Bangladesh, all the food item waste, irrespective of the ingredient or material or the source, we do the upcycling of this material. We use this for making poultry feed, for making fish feed, because at least the poultry and the fish are getting better nutrition than whatever they are given in a conventional manner.
Sure.
So this is a continuous cycle for us to do. I don't have any ready answer for your mango peel or any other vegetable peel you're talking about. But as I just mentioned, with my experience and expertise, it's easily and very much possible to upcycle any food waste into a non-conventional waste so that it better helps into the environment.
Sure. Okay, perfect. And Zakia, over to you very briefly. We're running out of time.
Absolutely. Thanks, Harsh, for the question. And I think I'm going to answer this in three folds. The first one was definitely the lack of cold storage that we have. And I think you've addressed that already, that we have a serious concern right now that we don't have enough cold storage at this moment in Bangladesh. That is something the government must address. That is something which will definitely increase our yield and help us do much better. The second point would be that education. I think that's really lacking at this moment for the farmers. They don't know which seeds would be better than the next. They don't know what our climate is changing every single day. Our climate today is not what it was last year. So I think the type of seeds that we use, the type of pesticides that we use, that's very important. The education, I think free education at an absolute union level needs to be done from the government as well. And the last thing I think, which I would like to address, is that smaller loans, I think that's really important for Bangladesh at this moment, whether it's from the Krishi banks or whether it's from banks who are very popular in agent banking. I think you need to take that chance on the farmers and give out very micro, smaller loans to help them grow much further. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone in the audience as well, for your questions. I know there are more questions, but we are really out of time. We have a coffee break coming up. Please feel free to reach out to our panelists for any follow-on questions, any discussions that you may want to do. May we have a round of applause for all our panelists. And thank you, everyone, for your questions, for your interest, and for your time. Before I let you guys disperse into the coffee break, some quick announcements. So after the coffee break, we have two more parallel sessions. One of them is on food safety and nutrition. That is being led by GAFSP, and that will happen in this very same room. The other session is on technology, use of IT for improving food safety and our food systems. That is going to take place in Padma room on the very first floor. And then we have a special session for government representatives looking at the IFC study that we had done on regulations on food safety. That discussion is going to happen, for those of you who have registered for that session from the government, that will happen at Surma room, again on the first floor. And at 4:45, we'll reassemble here for a closing session. Thank you very much. And Mr. Rahman, over to you.